Rican's perspective during and after the Second World War to the Korean War. What were the pull factors before and after? Education, money, Puerto Rico becoming a state. Have these effects helped or hindered Puerto Ricans and Puerto Rico in general? World War II was a pivotal moment that draws a lot of Puerto Ricans into the American military, as in the wake of Pearl Harbor, there was a rush to enlist. Many Puerto Ricans, after the registration filled up in Puerto Rico, went to New York to register. And this surge did not only lay the groundwork for Puerto Ricans' presence in the military, but this would also carry over in the 1940s with the boom of with the baby boom, with many Puerto Ricans making their way to the United States. As a third-generation Puerto Rican American, I wanted to explore the profound impacts and the major wars had on Puerto Rico, and the opportunities that it presented itself. From World War I to the Korean War, there have been countless conflicts through Puerto Rico's history that have shaped Puerto Rico, and both at home and abroad. As I've never really been connected to my culture in the same way most of my family is, I wanted to research more how the United States military helps people like my grandfather start a new life in the States, and same with my own father. Diving deeper, I uncovered a reality that the reality of Puerto Rico's involvement. While many fought valiantly, many were stationed in Latin America, far away from European front lines. Despite their contributions, Puerto Rican women were faced barriers where they couldn't really serve as nurses in World War II until much of the end of the war. Moreover, racial inequality was persistent, through less severe than African Americans, but it still affected Puerto Ricans and the history that Puerto Rico has in these wars, especially during the 1900s to the 1970s. The first part of my research is based on Puerto Rican heroes who fought in the war. The 65th Regiment Infantry, which was mainly composed of Puerto Rican men and heroes such as Agustin Ramos Calero, one of the two Puerto Rican men who would receive a Silver Star by the end of World War II. The second part focuses on the war's effects at home and what this did for families in Puerto Rico, and how Puerto Rico was used as a military training camp and also a bombing practice, which I'll go into further in my research, along with many sterilization of Puerto Rican women. And what did that look like? The last part is a deeper dive into how the significance of the wars affected Puerto Rico's view of independence. I had to redevelop my thesis very much, and these were historical shifts that I wanted to include. And as much as all the war stories are really fun, war brings development after it. So I was able to take the war as a pivotal moment, kind of like that middle ground where you have that reaction. So far, I've outlined and gathered a lot of resources for my paper, and I've had to revise it several times, which has helped me develop my argument. One of my challenges has been organizing myself, and taking on new questions in my research is kind of new for me, so this has been a really fun challenge, along with writing this paper as well. I got most of my sources from the official government websites, .org websites to maintain credibility, and information from my sources has been on a timeline, so it all matches up pretty well. I'm also using Valencia's database, and I have to say my biggest challenge was finding the proper questions to ask, because you can ask all the same questions as everybody else and you'll get the same answer. So I had to be really creative when I asked my development questions and getting more specific than probably the average researcher. One of my most successful sources was the National Museum of the United States Military, which described the 65th Infantry, which would lead into further questions, and that was really where my kickstart for my research happened. And understanding why the men were stationed where they were stationed really helped provide expansive evidence there too. Thank you.